Today, we're diving deep into a really important document. We're going to decode the official blueprint for Ethiopia's Construction Technology and Management Exit Exam. Now, this isn't just about passing a test, This is literally the gateway to building the entire country's future.
And yeah, make no mistake, this is the real deal. This whole blueprint comes straight from the Ethiopian Ministry of Education. It's the national standard, the one that every single graduate in this field has to meet.
So, that kind of brings us to a big question, right? What does it actually take to build a nation's future? It's definitely not just about concrete and steel. It's about having the right knowledge, the right skills, and a real commitment to excellence. And that's exactly what this exam is trying to measure.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into why this exam even exists. Then, we'll look at what an ideal graduate looks like according to this blueprint. We'll dive into the three main themes, see how the test is weighted, which is super important, and then we'll wrap up by looking at the bigger picture.
All right, let's get into it. First up, why does this national exit exam matter so much?
Well, the main goal is simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. You can think of it as a quality control check for higher education. The ministry brought this in to make sure that every single graduate has the must-have competencies, the knowledge, the skills, and the right professional attitude to hit the ground running and succeed from day one.
Okay, so what does this ideal graduate actually look like? The blueprint gives us this super detailed expected graduate profile, which is basically the gold standard for any new construction manager.
And we're not talking about just book smarts here. A graduate is expected to be able to lead huge complex projects, handle contracts ethically, use all the latest software, and manage every single resource, from the people on site to the heavy machinery, with total efficiency.
So here's the bottom line. This exam isn't just testing what you know, it's testing what you can do. It's looking for your potential to be a real leader on the job site and a creative problem solver in what is a very demanding industry.
So how do they test all of this? Well, the exam breaks everything down into three core themes. Think of them as the pillars of knowledge that hold up the entire test.
These are the big three you've got to master. Construction engineering, which is all about things like structural and foundation design. Then there's construction technology, which covers your materials and methods. And finally, construction management, which is really the art and science of running the whole show.
And these themes aren't just vague concepts. They're built from 14 specific, required courses that are pulled right out of your university curriculum. So it's kind of like the greatest hits of your entire degree program, covering everything from designing one building to managing the logistics of a massive highway project.
Okay, this brings us to the part you've probably been waiting for. The big question for any student. Where should you be focusing your efforts? Let's break down the weighting.
The message here is crystal clear. Look at that. Construction management makes up almost half of the entire exam. That is a huge slice of the pie, followed by engineering at about 28% and technology just under 23%.
So here's what I find really fascinating. Why such a heavy focus on management? This weighting tells a story, doesn't it? It suggests that for Ethiopia's development, the most critical skill isn't just knowing how to build, but knowing how to lead, plan, and execute massive projects on time and on budget. So let's drill down into that huge 49% chunk. Okay, so within that management theme, check out the two heavyweights: construction specification and quantity surveying, and construction planning and scheduling. These two are the brains of the entire operation. They are the skills that prevent costly delays and budget overruns. This tells you right here that mastering the numbers and the timeline is absolutely non-negotiable. And how are they going to test you on this stuff? Well, the blueprint focuses on what's called the cognitive domain. Don't let the fancy term scare you. It just means the exam will test three things. Can you remember key facts? Can you understand the concepts behind them? And, most importantly, can you apply that knowledge to solve actual real-world problems? All right, let's pull back for a second and look at the bigger picture. This document is so much more than just an exam outline. It's a tool for shaping an entire industry.
This quote from the Ministry of Education's conclusion really says it all. The ultimate goal here is to produce graduates who are not just knowledgeable, but also skillful and attitudinally matured. In other words, real professionals who are ready to lead from day one. It's about raising the bar for everyone.
So it all comes down to this. How does one test blueprint shape an entire industry's future? Well, by setting a single, high standard. It forces universities to adjust what they teach and students to change what they study. Ultimately, it ensures that the people who are building Ethiopia's future are the absolute best they can be.